Welcome back to our English First Additional Language lessons by Miss T.L.L, and the lesson will be focused on revision for final examination preparation for grade 12's NCS examination 2023, and I'm going to take you through the Northwest 2023 preparatory examination revision and correction. I will not waste time by defining the concepts of visual literacy and so forth. I believe that there are quite a number of videos that have or lessons that are cover all the concepts. What I want to share is to share my experience as a teacher from marking experience and where most of the learners got answers wrong, and to also caution you that when it comes to visual literacy, you can't just practice with one advertisement or one cartoon and then assume that you know. It's important that you revise both advertisement and I would say in totality visual literacy concepts, and then secondly is very much important to get exposure to a wide variety of advertisement, because adverts come in different forms and shapes, and they advertise various products and services, and they use different techniques to lure the target audience to buy or to use the advertised service or to purchase the advertised product. So it's very much important. In my previous lessons, I did mention that when you are looking at an advertisement, we are in essence studying the brain behind an advert. What is that? What are those unique techniques that the advertiser has used? So you are expected at this grade in grade 12 to use the advertisement concept to respond to questions. What do I mean when I talk about advertisement concept? I'm going to provide a link of our previous lesson where I think I went into details in as far as defining those concepts. I'm referring to the use of pictures, the language, the form of language that is used, emotive or persuasive language, your slogan, your target audience or target market, font sizes, and so forth. So it's when you look into an advert, those concepts should be at your backdrop for you to understand an advertisement. So I'm going to start first by going through the mistakes that I picked up when I was marking the preparatory examination. At times it's not because you don't know the responses. At times you fail because you fail to interpret the questions accordingly, and then you also fail to interpret the advertisement. In my previous adverts, when I analyzed them, I did emphasize that you need to study the advertisement in totality, no matter how small the detail might be, before you can go to the question. So one of the mistakes that I've realized that most learners commit is that they rush to the questions before they can even fully comprehend what is that the advertiser is saying and how is the advertiser driving this product home. So once you cannot answer these two basic questions, it will ultimately become very difficult for you to respond to questions based on advertisement. And I did also mention that for you to scoop a distinction in English with key reference to paper 1, although the emphasis is that you must balance all the 3 papers, but right now our primary focus is on paper 1. It is to ensure that you use the information already stated in the advertisement. The second mistake that you make is to provide information that is not here. When now you talk about things that the advertiser did not talk about, it's more like now you are coming up with your own advertisement. So you need to refrain from doing such. And then thirdly, it's not checking the mark allocation. You find that you have your lower order questions where you are asked questions that are of lower standards, and you can just deduce the responses directly as they are from the advertisement. And normally the mark allocation for questions of that nature is actually 1 mark. But then you do have your higher order questions, even in visual literacy, where you have like your 2 mark questions. And I fail to understand why candidates fail such questions, because all the responses that you need, if you want a distinction in English, just know that when you get to visual literacy, the responses that you need for all the questions, you are looking at them, they're actually there in the advertisement itself. So then the third mistake that you make is to come up with your information, dance around the very same information that is stated here, and ensure that you interpret questions accordingly. Right, now let us go through the advertisement quickly, and let us check the questions versus the responses, and then just just to rectify further the mistakes that you committed. Remember, this lesson is not only about teaching, but to caution you on the common mistakes that I have picked up that most learners commit when approaching questions and interpreting visual literacy. And then for this segment, we are going to focus on advertisement. Correct. We look into the advertisement. It says introducing. 1, it says no bending. The message says no bending, no touching shoes, no kidding. And then Alami, sketches, hands free, slip in. And then furthermore, it says that sketches, hands free, slip in. And not only are these slip-ins, but the very same shoes now or sneakers are actually machine washable. And then you take note. Remember, I said you take note of every detail, no matter how small the detail might be. And then you have your slogan here that says just step in and what and go. And then remember everything that is stated in the advertisement, the message. So here you would note that this is our slogan, and then everything in here is what? The message. Correct. And then after doing all of that, what did you then check? Now, after noting all of that, you look now into the image, if not the picture that is used in the advertisement. And then there must be a relationship between this picture and the message as well as the slogan. It means that there must be synergy amongst the picture, the slogan, and the message, because indeed the picture must help to emphasize what is that the message has said. That is the purpose of using an image in an advertisement. So you do all of that, and then you check your picture. And then I've said that no, don't undermine the details of an advertisement, irrespective of how small the detail might be. When I look at this picture, and in visual literacy, you simply interpret what you see, you write what you see. And then for you to interpret a picture with key reference to language usage, we are going to use adjectives. Remember, adjectives are describing words. So here is the sneaker that is being advertised, sketches. And then what do I see here? Remember, there's an emphasis of, let us take it out. Yes. There's an emphasis in the message that there's no bending over, no touching shoes, no kidding. And I don't see anyone bending over. We just see legs and foot. And then what we see here, this is a line. It's a line with what? With an arrow that shows that the foot, can you see one foot is in, one foot is slightly out, but it's as if the line indicates that this person is doing what? Is slipping in the foot without the use of hands and without really what? Bending. And that which support the message just said what? Just slip in. You do all of that before you can even go to what? You can even go to the questions. Also, I forgot to emphasize something. Here we said no bending over, no touching shoes, and it says what? No kidding. We must also look into the phrase no kidding. It's a bit informal. However, the phrase is informal. However, it is used to emphasize the truth of a statement. So remember, advertisers will go beyond and above to ensure that everything that is stated in an advertisement does justice in as far as capturing the correct audience's attention, right? So it says no kidding, which means it emphasizes the truth of the statement, and the statement is that these shoes are actually comfortable in the sense that you don't need to bend over, you don't need to touch your shoes. What you can just do is just to slip in and do what? And go. And with the two concepts or the two forms of language, grade 12s, please, you must be in a position to identify the kind of language that is used in the message. Emotive language is a language that evokes emotions. When I read the message, I don't see any emotions that are being provoked, but I see persuasive language. I see a lot of persuasive language where the writer is trying by all means to grab the reader's attention. He uses persuasive language, and you can also see a font. Remember, also you must also check the technical aspects of advertisement, such as font size. You look here, it's bolded but not in capital letters, and then slip in, it's shaded with there's a background that is shaded here, with white and a different font size, which further emphasize wants to grab the reader's attention and to emphasize that it is actually effortless to do what? To wear the shoes. Now you have done all of that. You'll realize that when you get to the questions, you're only going to deduce the answers from the analysis that you have just made. This is exactly what you do. You don't rush to the questions and then go to the advertisement. Now let us check the questions. With this advertisement, it was very difficult for most learners to get the question of the target audience correct. For example, you just look at the sneakers, and if a learner cannot get the first question, that is mostly the question based on target audience, to me it says that you did not do justice in as far as analyzing the advertisement. So you just need 3 minutes. I know that when you're writing, it's actually you're working against time. You're only given 2 hours to complete 5 questions. So I'm not saying you must spend the entire hour analyzing an advertisement. You just need 3 minutes to say, okay, there's a slogan, there's the message, okay, this is the picture, and then just try to justify how is the picture correlating with the message and so forth. Exactly what I've just done. Who is the target audience in this advertisement? For you to get this question correct, you need to read the message. What is that the advertiser is saying about this particular product? If you don't understand the essence of this product from the focal point of the message, it will be very difficult for you to get the target audience correct. Now, because remember we said no bending, no touching, and no kidding. You just do what you just need to step in and go. So the correct acceptable response for this in the Northwest preparatory examination was for people who prefer comfortable shoes. People who prefer comfortable shoes, right? Now the question is, how did we arrive at comfort? Because the advertiser did not talk about comfort. First and foremost, we've got so many statements that alludes to comfort. Just step in and go. Not bending, not touching. And then just to slip in. All of those concepts are tailored or tilt to the idea of comfort. And I know arguably most learners will say people who have back problems, people who don't want to bend over when they wear shoes and so forth. But however, arguably the most correct. Remember, even if a product can sort of have multiple target audience, try to come up with the correct, closest suitable target audience. So it will be people who prefer comfortable shoes. And I was able to justify that, even though the question did not ask me to justify that. Try by all means in your analysis, when you think, to justify it based on the information based on an advert. If you are able to justify the group that you have opted for, then you know that automatically your response is actually correct. And then this is a 1 mark question. I've always said please check mark allocation as well. Now we go back to the message. Why does the advertiser repeat the word no in all 3 sentences? No bending, no touching, no kidding. Now remember, I've said the manner in which messages are curated in an advertisement, the sole purpose is to grab the reader's attention and to emphasize the message. So the repetition of the operative word in all these sentences is no. It's for emphasis purposes. But in it's expected of your good selves when you are in grade 12 not only to say to emphasize, because when you say to emphasize, it sounds very much incomplete. The question might be, what is that is emphasized? So remember, we spoke about what comfort here, which also slightly relates to the question. So the answer, if not the response, it will be to emphasize. Is to emphasize how comfortable it is to wear, how comfortable, or easy, or how effortless. Because remember, you just say just step in and go, slip in, right? How effortless it is to wear the sneakers or to put them on. So please get into the habit of completing your answers. Don't just say to emphasize, because the question might be, what is that is emphasized? Go all out in your responses and ensure that your answers are fully explained. So not only to emphasize, because all of the advertisement have that emphasis effect. So if you just say to emphasize it, you leave it hanging. We don't know what is that is being emphasized. So drive your point home to say what is being emphasized is that how comfortable it is, because you don't need to touch. You don't need to touch them. You don't need to bend. All you just need is just to step in and go. Now 3.3, quote 2 consecutive words from the text which suggest that it is easy to clean what? To clean the shoes. Please, the question interpretation, it says only 2, and then you say open quotation, machine they are machine washable. That was the correct response for this advertisement, then close quotation. Why does the advertiser include the visual of a foot out of the shoe in the picture? And then it says state 2 reasons, mark allocation is 2 marks. Now, if you listened when I analyzed the advertisement, already we've got the response in our analysis itself. I did mention when I was looking into the image that I said whenever you see the picture, just ask yourself, how does the picture help to support the message? So you find that you have those good, excellent candidates who provide a rich response but only provide 1, and that's how you forfeit marks. And this is a collectible mark question. In actual fact, you can scoop 10 out of 10 because the responses that you need are actually in the question paper itself. So please be directed by the examiner. It says what state how many? 2 points. So in essence, we have already deduced the response in our analysis in as far as relating the picture that is being used in an advertisement to the message of the advertisement. Let us just quickly go through it again. We did in our analysis check the line that shows 1 foot is all slightly outside the shoe to show that, to support that is easy to slip in, and we just see a picture of legs and foot without being touched, and there's also emphasis on the comfortability of the shoes. So basically those are your 2 key points that you can use in your responses. So you can realize that once you have done the analysis, you just come back to the advertisement to pick up, if not to deduce the responses. Now correct the 2 facts for this question is that the image of a foot, you can describe the image and then relate it to the message, like I've already stated, that it shows a foot slightly outside the shoe with arrows pointing inside, supporting the message that is easy to slip in. And then another fact is that to emphasize that the shoe itself is also how comfortable. So that's how you get your 2 points. And then you must also expect questions around the language dynamics, if not the language aspect in visual literacy. 3.5, the examiner requested you to come up with an antonym for the word introducing, and then we can have the words such as suspending, removing, and abandoning, removing, suspending. And then when you are asked to provide an antonym, please check the tense of the word. It does not say introduce in the present tense, it says introducing. The verb ends with ing, so as well as ensure that the antonym that you come up with is still in the same tense or sustains the same tense and is still also carrying what? ing. Don't change the tense. And then 3.6.1, write down the slogan of the advertisement. We have already highlighted the slogan in our analysis prior answering. And then the slogan, of course, is just step in and go. And then 3.6.2, choose the correct answer to complete the following sentence. The word kidding means it's not to mock, it's not to fall, it's not to irritate. And of course, the correct response is D, which means what? It is a joke. Now 3.7, I have stressed in all the advertisement that I've done in my channel, I have spoken into greater length. I've preached the gospel around higher order questions in advertisement. If you really want to scoop that distinction, you should expect the last question to be centered around your analysis and your input and your evaluation of an advertisement in as far as does the advertisement persuade, or sometimes the examiners may phrase the question differently to say, did the advertiser convince you to use the advertised product? And then what is important, which is the key word in this question, is to do what? Is to substantiate your response. English learners, learn to go all out in your responses. Already you've got enough information in the advert itself that can support if you are on the affirmative to say yes. And I can pretty much condition you. Just always say yes and use the information already stated in the advertisement. Now, when you substantiate, don't find yourself talking about only one fact and repeating it over and over again. At least have two independent facts. What am I talking about? You can talk about the image plus the message. You can talk about the image plus the slogan. At least you have a effect around the image that can be a mark, and then also effect around the message that can also be a mark. It must be a well-rounded response to show that now you are in grade 12. I can say yes, the advertiser used persuasive language to say just step in and go, to emphasize on the comfortability of the shoe. And then secondly, the advertiser also included the image of Skechers sneakers with a foot slipping in to support the message that it is easy to wear the shoes. So can you hear that in my response I spoke about the image, I also spoke about the slogan. And then also you can also say the advertiser used the persuasive language in the and with regards to outlining the form, if not the level of language used in an advertisement. Don't just say the advertiser used a persuasive language and then you end there. Drive your point home and answer in full, because the operating word, if not the key concept in that question, is your ability to substantiate responses. So most of the learners get 1 mark here, and I fail to understand why. This is a collectible mark question. You are looking at the responses. There are so many facts, if not information, that you can use to fashion your answer. You can also say that the advertiser used persuasive language, emphasized on the advertisement used persuasive language by repeating the word no to emphasize that the shoes, you can just slip into the shoes without necessarily touching them or bending. And then also you can say that the advertiser also included the image. So like I've said, please talk about two concepts. However, if you say no as well, it does not mean, because what I have noted as in my experience as well as marking the paper is that most of the learners who would say no, they will have valid facts, but what do they fail? They fail to do what? To substantiate those facts. You can't just say no, I'm not interested in the advertisement. Don't become emotional. Hey, talk about the facts. Become objective and talk about the facts. If you say no, I can say no because the advertiser did not include the price of the sneakers. Secondly, the advertiser did not even include the shop where one can get to purchase the advertised sneakers. So therefore, the advertiser did not persuade me to buy the sneakers. Can you see? In as much as I've said yes and I fully substantiated, when I say no, you say no, it is equally expected of your good selves to actually do justice in this question and fully substantiate. Or you can even say no, the advertiser did not include the price of the sneakers, so it will be difficult to know how much they are. Secondly, the advertiser failed to provide further information such as website addresses or telephone numbers if the target audience or the customer may be in need of further information pertaining, if not pertaining, to the advertised product. So please, in essence, if I were just to close this in 2 minutes, I would say ensure that you read the message so that you come up with the correct target audience. Check mark allocation so that when you check you write your responses, you ensure that you scoop those 2 marks. Those 2 marks are important because in totality it's easier to get 10 out of 10 so that you can work towards your distinction. Once more, good luck. Let us meet again on our next segment where we go through correcting cartoon. Thank you.